Kill Tony. Please, someone fucking kill Tony.
Tony Hinchcliffe walking into Kevin Hart's Netflix roast was always going to feel strange. Tony is one of the few comedians whose whole public identity is built around roasting people. He hosts Kill Tony, he came up through roast comedy, and he has made a career out of saying the harsh thing in the room before anyone else does. So when he shows up at a celebrity roast, that should be his home turf. But Tony also walked in with baggage. After the 2024 Trump rally controversy, Tony became famous to a much wider audience.
Believe it or not, people, I welcome migrants to the United States of America with open arms. And by open arms, I mean like this. And these Latinos, they love making babies too, just know that. There's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah, I think it's called Puerto Rico.
Comedy fans already knew him as the Kill Tony guy, but regular people now know him as the comedian behind the Puerto Rico joke that turned into national news. That changed the way people see him. To comedy fans, he is a roast specialist. To everyone else, he is a walking controversy. That is why his appearance at Kevin Hart's roast became a side story. Kevin was supposed to be the one in the hot seat. His name was on the special, but Tony being there created a different curiosity. People wanted to see whether the man who built his career making other comics uncomfortable could handle being made uncomfortable himself. That's where Pete Davidson comes in.
Tony Hinchcliffe is here, looking like both a child molester and the doll they give the child to show where he touched them. Tony reminds me of Charlie Kirk, in that he's definitely been on camera letting a guy unload in his throat. Oh, you don't know me? You don't know me? Yeah. Yeah. Kill Tony. Please, someone fucking kill Tony. Tony, nothing you say tonight will hurt my feelings. I was in a beef with Kanye, so I've taken shots from better gay Nazis.
Pete going after Tony worked because Tony is such an obvious target. On Kill Tony, young comics walk on stage, do 1 minute, and then Tony decides whether they get praised, destroyed, dismissed, or turned into a punchline. That power dynamic is part of the show. So when Tony gets roasted, there is a natural satisfaction to it. People like seeing the judge get judged. That does not mean Tony can't take it. He understands roast rules better than most. If you build your career on insult comedy, people are going to swing back. And from what fans have said, Tony still did well when it was his turn. He's quick, sharp, and knows how to work that kind of room. But the bigger story is how the room treats him now. Tony is respected in comedy because he is good at what he does. He helped turn Kill Tony into one of the biggest live comedy platforms in the world. But he also carries a smug, villain-like energy. That's part of the appeal, but it also makes people eager to see him humbled.
Now that your favorite leader is making the draft mandatory, I assume that all of you will be signing up to go fight in Iran. Or do you tough-talking pussies only go to the Middle East for comedy festivals?
The Kevin Hart roast put him in a room where he couldn't fully control the temperature. He wasn't at the comedy mothership surrounded by his regular crowd. He wasn't behind the Kill Tony desk deciding who gets laughed at. He was on Netflix in a celebrity roast environment with bigger names around him and people ready to take shots. That is why the Pete Davidson moment got attention. Pete is not usually seen as the scariest roast comic alive, but going after Tony made sense. Tony had become a public villain to a lot of people, and Pete took a shot at someone the audience already had feelings about. The joke landed because people already knew the story. That is how comedy works now. The punchline is only part of it. The audience brings the headlines, the podcast clips, the controversies, the Reddit threads, and the old grudges. By the time the comedian says the joke, people are already halfway there. Tony understands that better than most. Kill Tony runs on context. Regulars become characters. Bombs become lore. Awkward moments become clips. The show trains the audience to remember everything and use it against the person on stage. At Kevin Hart's roast, that same energy came back toward Tony. That is useful for him and dangerous for him. Useful because it puts him back in the comedy conversation for what he actually does, roasting. Dangerous because every room he enters now comes with extra tension. People are watching to see if he crosses the line again, gets booed, gets humbled, or proves he is still one of the best in that format. Kevin Hart may have been the official target of the roast, but Tony became one of the side stories because he represents a style of comedy people either love or hate.